Okay, New Year's resolutions. We've been talking about it a lot over the course of the last few days, even before 2023. Which ones are the best ones to have? Which ones can you keep? How is it that most Americans give up after the first month? I mean, that's pretty sad when you think about it. You got to chuckle about it. But when we also talk about the new year, we talk about a new you and perhaps a new career path, of course. Career, workplace, that's something on top of mind of many people. Let's talk about the latest data when it comes to the current job markets and tips for launching a successful job search. Let's bring in our friend we've talked to several times in the past, Angela Copeland, who is now the founder of Copeland Coaching. Angela, Happy New Year to you. How you doing?
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here. So is it now perhaps the best time, or at least a good time, to make a career move? What do you say?
Now is an excellent time. A lot of companies, over the holidays put hiring on hold. And if you were thinking of looking for a job, this is the time that they are starting to open back up to hiring. And it's a perfect time to start looking. There are so many resources available. It's a perfect New Year's resolution. It's a great time to start.
Last year, Angela, when we talked, you mentioned that it was very much an employee market. I think everybody agreed to the indicators that it was an employee's market. Is it still that way? Has it changed at all? What do you see?
It's a great question. I think it's a little more nuanced than the last time we spoke, because we have seen in the news there have been tons of layoffs over the last, few months. But I would keep in mind that those layoffs are in very particular industries, like they're in tech, for example. So there are many industries like travel, financial services, government that are actually still doing really well. And our unemployment rate overall for the US in November was still 3.7%, which is a very healthy unemployment rate. So there are many companies that are still hiring. It is still a good time to be looking. I will say the dynamics have shifted some since the last time that we spoke, but it is a great time to be looking.
What type of jobs are in demand in 2023? You mentioned that there's been a lot of layoffs in tech. What do you see most in demand?
The industries I would really focus on are those that will do well through a recession, for example. And some of the areas to look in are banking, like financial services, government. The budget for 2023 was approved, and it is more than it was the previous year. And other industries like travel, we've seen people starting to travel again. So it's kind of across all job functions. But hotel companies, for example, are hiring again in a way that they weren't maybe this time last year. So I would really kind of focus on that. And as you're looking online for jobs, you'll see which companies seem to have more jobs posted, which companies seem to be doing better. There's just so much information when you go out and search.
Okay, so now we've talked about, where people need to search, what kind of jobs. It is a good time to kind of make this career move. So let's talk about those secrets to launching a successful job search, because we all know that launching a search is almost like having a job in and of itself.
It is a job. And the thing is, it is a tough job. Job searching has really evolved in the last, let's say, 10 years. And if you haven't looked in a while, you'll feel very discouraged because you may have to apply to 100 jobs to get one job offer. And you may have family members, especially older ones, that say, like, what's your problem? Like, why aren't you getting a job? But you have to understand that with the way that so many job seekers apply online nowadays, it is a harder process than it used to be. It is really a numbers game. So I would say don't get discouraged. Find a friend who is also job searching that you can kind of commiserate with. Don't totally rely on family as you're talking about your struggles. And, another thing I really like to recommend is if you have a connection to a company, or if you can kind of figure out who the hiring manager is, rather than just applying online, to actually send an email to that person, because you really stand out when you're the one applicant that actually took the time to send an email as opposed to just applying online.
Last time we talked about various employers, again, having almost the upper hand in the job market, many of them asking for that work-life balance, working remotely. What are the trends you're seeing now in 2023? Is working remotely still one of those trends that people want, or at least they ask for, and then they get them from the employer?
It is such an excellent question. This is a really hot topic right now. So, you've probably noticed in the last few months, especially, many employers have started asking employees to come back into the office, which lots of employees do not want to do because after 2 years of working from home, we really saw that it was possible. So, I think a big change in the job market right now is that some companies are offering totally work from home, others are asking you to come in person, and some are giving sort of a hybrid option. So if you're a job seeker, pay attention to which is which. There are fewer work from home jobs posted right now than there were this time last year. And there's also more competition for those jobs. So I would say on the flip side, if you're a company that's struggling to hire, switching your jobs to work from home is a really good strategy because, employees, a lot of them really appreciate the flexibility of working from home. I do think, though, employers are looking for other ways to provide flexibility, whether it's like mental health days or other sorts of, different benefits that are sort of new and different. But work from home is becoming a little more rare than we saw before.
Okay, so we've talked about the job search. We've talked about various trends. We've talked about what we're seeing in 2023. Now, how do we get job seekers to negotiate the best offer that they can get?
Ooh, also very important. So I think the first thing as a job seeker is to do your homework. We are so lucky in today's day and age that there are websites like Glassdoor and LinkedIn that have a lot of salary data. So you can look on Glassdoor, for example, and you can search for a particular company, say FedEx, for example, and you can search by job title and you can get a pretty good idea of what they're paying. The other thing is when you go through the interview process, a recruiter will very often ask you in the very first interview, how much do you make or how much do you want to make? And it is much more acceptable today to turn around and say, wow, that's a great question. Would you be willing to share your range with me? And very often, the employer, that recruiter, will tell you roughly what they are looking to pay. And you can say, yes, I think we're in the same ballpark without really truly disclosing your numbers. So if you're moving from one industry to another, sometimes you can even double your salary doing this because maybe this different industry pays much more money. So I think that is really the first start is don't, show your cards right away. And instead ask questions and have done your research in advance.
What about with you specifically, Angela? What are your clients' biggest struggles that you're hearing?
The biggest struggle, I think, is really the way job searching feels now. In the past, it felt more personal versus now you're often applying sort of into a black hole. You often don't hear back, or you may interview for a company 10, 11 times and then not hear even a rejection. So the entire process feels harder, I think, than in the past. And really, that is the part that the person has to overcome. I often recommend that people kind of keep a spreadsheet of sort of where they have applied and what's going on so they can kind of keep track and set goals for themselves. How many jobs are they applying to, every week or every month so they can really see. And again, it really comes down to just, it doesn't feel great. So seeking out a resource, a friend who's also job searching, they're going to have the same struggle and they will really be able to empathize with you.
Angela, let's flip the coin a little bit. What advice would you give hiring managers to land the best talent that's out there?
That is such a good question. So often, hiring managers, especially I would say at well-known companies, really take for granted the experience that the person interviewing has. So if you are really interested to land the best talent, it's get back to people when you tell them you will. It is be prompt. It's be transparent. If you've decided to put a job on hold, let the person know. And I think truly, if you want the biggest number of applicants to pick from, make the job remote. Again, so many people want work from home and there are less work from home jobs available now than there have been in the past.
Angela, this has been so informative to so many of our viewers out there. Any lasting comments before we let you go?
No, I would just say, really get started now. This is the perfect time. Employers really are hiring. Don't, buy into the hype that everyone is being laid off, because they're not. Get going and expect it to take, 2 or 3 months, and just kind of prepare yourself for that.
All right, she is the founder of Copeland Coaching. She knows the insight, the market trends, and has great advice if you're looking for a new career and a new job search. Angela Copeland, we always appreciate the insight. Thanks very much.
Thank you.